Hello, fellow human light being. This is Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard, and I'm here to confess to you that I was wrong about starseeds. They do exist, and they are on Earth right now. In fact, I've come to the realization that I myself am, in fact, an Andromedan starseed. So we're going to be talking about a lot of information that I'm really excited about getting to with you. But first, I just have to look you in the eye and tell you once again that I was wrong. And I love being wrong. I know you think I'm a narcissistic, egomaniacal person, and I suppose I have some ways to grow along that line. But I love being wrong, and the reason I love being wrong is because every time that I come to the firm realization that I'm wrong, it means I'm this much closer to the truth. And the truth is more important to me than anything. I want to know the truth more than I want to be comfortable. And I strongly urge you to take that on as a life path. Be willing to tell people you're wrong, whether it's in relationships. Once you realize that you know you've done something wrong, go and tell somebody. When you're doing research about something, even though you find out information that you don't want to know, that completely destroys everything you've been saying for years, admit when you're wrong. If you've been on my channel, you know that I have no problem, and at least once every 6 months, I come on and say I was wrong about. So I hope that that's a good example for you, because you'll end up being happier. The more access you have to truth, the happier you're going to be. Holding on to being correct about something and having a bunch of opinions, that's a sure way to get yourself into some serious trouble. Always be flexible and open to be wrong, and I was wrong about starseeds. So if you're new to the channel, you may not know that there's been numerous times where there might even be some videos that I've made where I've talked about how starseeds and light workers, that whole thing, that doesn't exist. It's a bunch of nonsense. And this is coming from a guy who spent 40 years doing esoteric spiritual energy practices, fighting demons, out of body, shamanism, healing, mantra, all that stuff. But I didn't like the idea of starseeds, and we'll get into the reasons for that, but there's far more truth to this idea than I ever thought possible. And the things that aren't so right about it really aren't that big of a deal, and you can, kind of erase those. But I don't care. I don't care if you and I agree on what starseeds are on every level, because what's most important to me, that I want to make sure that you know about, the most important thing that I want you to do is to go on to these live guided interdimensional meditations to manifest the solar flash ascension event. I do these live meditations numerous times a week, at least once every Saturday, but every spare chance I get, I come on here and I do them. So in order to be notified, what I need you to do is I need you to subscribe, like, comment, hit the bell button. The bell button is what notifies you when I go on, because sometimes I go on with just a couple hours notice, or sometimes I just, you know what, I'm going to go on live right now. And I'm okay with that because it's archived and it gets recorded and you can go back and watch it later. So, there's no loss there, but I really want everybody to come on to these live guided interdimensional meditations. They are absolutely free. It won't cost you anything except a little bit of your time. And the reason is, the more people that we get doing these live interdimensional meditations together, the faster the earth shift will come. Now, you can't make it on the live one. That's okay. As soon as you can, go and watch the archived video, and if you need to, just fast forward through all of my talking and get right to the meditation part, because even though you're watching it maybe a few hours later or a day later, it still has the same effect, because your energy will still be there with ours as we're doing this live meditation. So that's my fervent request. More than anything, come make sure you do these live guided interdimensional meditations. And you're going to find out as you watch this video, if you're wondering whether or not you're a starseed. You'll know by the end of this video. So make sure that you watch this video to the end, because not only are you going to learn a bunch of cool stuff about why it's so important that there are star seeds on this planet. And the fact of the matter is that the star seeds are the ones who are going to bring the shift. Maybe you didn't know that. That's how important you are. And many star seeds in 3D reality are not very well known. They're not very successful. They might not even be very functional or happy in a lot of ways. But they are the most important people when it comes to Earth shifting. So if you're watching this, listen, just watch till the end. You're going to find out how important you are. So, all right, we'll get back to some of these other things, but let's just get right into it. We're going to talk about who a starseed is, how can you know if starseeds are even a real thing, where do I personally get my information about starseeds, the modern origins of starseed beliefs, how I discovered I was an Andromedan starseed of all things, what New Agers get right about starseeds, what New Agers get wrong about starseeds, common starseed attributes, crazy secret about starseeds on Earth, which you're going to want to wait to hear about that. The fastest way to activate your starseed identity and how to achieve the 5D ascension shift. So, as I said, stay tuned. We're going to get into some really, really cool stuff. And one thing you ought to do, I recommend everybody do this. What is that? Question your reality. Online classes and personal mentorship at thunderwizard.com. Question your reality. That's another thing I've been doing, especially the past 3 years. I have been questioning my reality, and it can be very challenging, but I'm so happy that I do, and I want to help you do that. Another thing before we forget is we just had the first live Zoom class discussion group, and anybody is welcome. Go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe. There's 2 ways you can do that. If you're subscribed to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, you can upgrade to that. And if you're an apprentice, which means you're working with me at least once a month in a live session, you can also have your own version of that. So go on and subscribe there, because in these live Zoom class discussion groups, which we've already found out, just listening to other people, their experiences with light beings, with higher dimensional meditation, crazy things that have happened that have twisted their understanding of reality. And when you're faced with the fact that you live in this matrix illusion and nobody else around you seems to see it, you start to feel alone and crazy. So it turns out a lot of people have had the same experiences that you have had, and it's really healing to hear about it, talk about it, and learn. So come check those out. All right, so let's get back to who are starseeds? So first question is, well, let's answer that question. Who are starseeds? You probably know this already, but a starseed, generally speaking, is believed to be a higher dimensional soul who has chosen to incarnate on Earth at this time, specifically to help Earth and humans shift up to the next 5D experience of planet Earth. So generally speaking, that's what a starseed is. And again, I poo-pooed that whole idea, but now I don't. I know for a fact that they exist because I am one, and very likely so are you. So you already know that. That's the general idea of what a starseed is. Are you a starseed? So this is a great question to ask, and I think everybody, if you have the slightest bit of interest, you should ask. And one of the ways you can know you're a starseed is if you are asking that question. People ask me that. Am I a light worker, or am I a starseed? And am I a starseed? If you're asking the question, am I a starseed? You are. Because if you weren't, it's likely that you would do what a lot of people are doing, even what I did. People who poo-poo the whole idea of starseeds, people who don't want to believe in starseeds, at least at this moment, they are not in the starseed frequency. If you're asking the question, am I a starseed? just by asking that, you're already in the frequency of a starseed, and I can guarantee you are. Otherwise, that question wouldn't come up. How can we know if starseeds are even a real thing? And this is a great question. You know, I'm a very practical person, and the changes that have happened to me over the past 3 years have been very challenging to my rational brain. So if you're new to the channel, just let me give you a brief history of why I'm even into this. So during the pandemic, I started having this feeling that something was really off. And I couldn't put my finger on it, but that something was really, really off. And for some reason, I started thinking about extraterrestrials. Now, I grew up, you know, I was born in the 60s, and so I grew up watching, hearing about even the very first alien abduction recorded event, which is I forget their name, the Betty and Barney Hill abduction case. And of course, all the movies and the communion books and the communion movie, Fire in the Sky, you know, all that stuff about alien abductions. And so I looked into it, came to the conclusion that something about it just doesn't feel right, so I don't think aliens exist, besides the fact that it's impossible for somebody to travel, you know, that fast to get here. They'd have to travel at the speed of light, and even then it would take them millions of years to get here, so aliens aren't visiting Earth. I came to that conclusion based on my understanding of rational science. But during the pandemic, I just couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right, and for some reason I kept on having this feeling about ETs and extraterrestrials and aliens, and I just did some basic research into it, and Dr. Stephen Greer came up. If you are a starseed and you don't know who he is, you go look him up, Dr. Stephen Greer, Greer. And I thought he was a nutcase. I had heard about him years before, and you know, something that had been presented about him on television or something, and I thought, this guy's a nutcase. But he popped up again in my research, and he talked about this thing called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which was human-initiated contact with extraterrestrials. And he claimed that he could do it and that he could teach it to anybody. And so I watched a couple of his films, especially the film, if you haven't watched it, watch it. You can watch it for free on YouTube. You can watch it on, you know, other platforms like Amazon. Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And the video footage that they got, and the photographs that they got, and of course people's experience, people were just simply doing very simple meditative protocols, and they were simply inviting extraterrestrials to come and visit them. And the beings that showed up weren't what you see in the movies. They weren't little gray beings running around, you know, taking people hostage and doing anal probes on them. The beings that showed up were higher dimensional beings. They were beings that were phased just out of third dimensional reality, and you could catch them maybe if you had the right digital camera, or you could catch, you know, some things about them, and they would do things like all kinds of crazy things with lights. But the most intense thing was that these beings were giving healings to people, and they were giving people really powerful shamanic initiation experiences. They're communicating with people telepathically. And when I saw that, you know, I've been spending my whole life studying the most powerful esoteric practices and come to the edge and learned everything that is humanly possible to learn, and I still wanted to learn more. And I said, if these beings exist, I want them to train me. I want to learn from them. And so I was scared out of my mind, but I did it anyway, and I followed the procedures. I didn't even do it right the first couple of times. The first time I did it, I got video and audio, you know, I'm going to say proof that I was interacting with extraterrestrials, but my third dimensional mind couldn't accept it, and so I talked myself out of it. The third time, a being showed up, and he happened to be a mantis being. And he showed up. He was phased just out of the third dimension, and he, gave me Shakti pot, touched me on the top of my head, and everything just went crazy. And he told me, I'm going to take you through a shamanic initiation, and I'll be back. And he was. He came back every day for months. And I'd just be sitting there on the couch, and then this energy would come into the room, and I'd be getting messages, and the most blissful, intense energy that's coming clearly from some other dimension. And, if you've gone through it, you know what I'm talking about. Your third dimensional brain is going, what is going on? Very mind-bending and crazy. And I started having these experiences that are, you normally can't have unless you've done ayahuasca or you're, pounding DMT, these kinds of reality bending experiences. And I learned a hell of a lot, and I still am. And so, if you're new to the channel, you don't know that. If you're on the channel, you know that what I've gone through. And if you've done the interdimensional meditations, then you very likely have had your own experiences. So again, don't forget about coming to these. So how can we know if starseeds are even a real thing? We can't, because the whole concept is something that can't be proven with third dimensional science. I mean, the whole thing is just so completely contrary to everything that third dimensional science and third dimensional thinking can get you. And let me be clear, I'm not, third dimensional science can only do one thing. It can only look at third dimensional evidence and make conclusions based on that. So if we're talking about the existence of the soul, if we're talking about incarnation, reincarnation, incarnating, as a human being and living on other planets, third dimensional science can't do anything with that. So how can we know it's a real thing? You can't from an objective scientific standpoint or even a rational reasoned standpoint. It's something you have to experience. And so experience is the only thing that can give you the knowledge that this exists. So to answer that question, how can we know? We can't except through experience. Now, where do I get my information? I just gave a lot of that. When it comes to starseeds and all that information, I'm not getting any of my information from books. I'm not getting any of my information from websites, or I'm not following what somebody says. Lots of times people will say, so-and-so says this, what do you think? And my thought is, why don't you ask me what I teach? Don't ask me what other people say. All of the things that I teach, literally everything that I teach, comes directly from my personal experience. If I can't personally experience it and prove it, I don't teach it. And if I don't have personal proof through experience, I tell you. I'll say, I can't prove it, but here's my thoughts on this. So everything that I'm telling you about starseeds is coming from my personal experience. It is not coming from anywhere else. In fact, you're going to hear the things that I disagree with about a lot of the stuff that people say about starseeds. And I encourage you to have the same attitude as me. Don't take anybody else's word for anything, including mine. Because as you've heard, I'm wrong at times. So don't take anybody's word for anything. Investigate and find out for yourself. That's going to mean you're going to have some bravery. People are afraid of this and they're afraid of that. I was afraid. I was scared to death I was going to get abducted. As irrational as that was, that fear was really there. And if you go onto my channel and click on the alien folder and watch how I became an extraterrestrial, you're going to hear me, big, giant, tough guy, trying to blink back the tears as I'm interacting with a higher dimensional ET, and I'm on the verge of tears, and I'm saying, I'm afraid. But my fear didn't stop me. I was saying I was afraid because I wanted to acknowledge it, and I wanted that being to know I'm not going to let my fear stop me. I want to know this. Even if it kills me, I'm going after this. So I encourage you, find out for yourself. Don't trust anybody. And on this channel, I have everything on my channel is about teaching you how to find out and how to experience it for yourself. All right, so that's where I get my information. So what are the modern origins of starseed beliefs? So I've been hearing about starseeds for years, and I poo-pooed it. And again, I'll get to the things that I didn't like about it, which I still don't think are accurate. But there was a lot of things I thought weren't accurate that turns out they are. So anyway, what was I saying? The modern origins of starseed beliefs. So, I wanted to know, where did this starseed belief first show up? So according to, brief search on the internet, there was an author named Brad Styer who wrote prolifically about the unknown and was keenly interested in alien life. I'm reading from a website here. And extraterrestrials in his 1976 book, Gods of Aquarius. And he introduced this notion that some people on Earth are originating from other dimensions. So according to this, that's where it started. Who knows if that's true or not. But again, the whole idea of starseeds is that beings from higher dimensions choose to incarnate on Earth, and that they're here with a specific spiritual purpose. But there's some really good, even though this article here is trying to badmouth it, they bring out some good points. So let me read those. It says, believers claim there are several ways to tell if you're a starseed. These include searching for meaning in life, feeling a lack of belonging, being spiritual, and possessing a strong sense of intuition are also qualities of a starseed. They are also said to be empathetic, sensitive, and have more physical and mental health issues, as their souls aren't used to having a human body. That I find very interesting, and I would completely agree with that. Now, I don't think that means every starseed is going to have, greater mental health, emotional health issues. But it makes sense. If you're from a higher dimensional plane of existence where love and empathy and kindness and a higher spiritual connection to whatever you want to call it, God or spirit, and there's no violence, there's no greed, you don't have to worry, are people lying to you, because you're intuitively connected to everything and everybody. You're connected to nature, you're connected to whatever planet you're on, you're connected to the animals. So if you go from that to being on planet Earth, which is a very there isn't anybody who doesn't have serious challenges when they come here. The first thing that happens when you're a human and you're born is you cry. You scream, cry, and that tells you something. Welcome to planet Earth. So I think that's accurate. And the sad part is if somebody does have greater mental health and emotional health issues, then it's easier to gaslight them and say, what, this person is wanting to escape their feelings, so they go into a fantasy world and all of that. And I understand that, because I said things like that about starseeds, because again, I want to be a practical person. I want to know the truth. I don't want to have my emotional attachments determine my thoughts and my beliefs. But I believe that, even though this person is now going to turn around and badmouth it. It says here, believers in starseeds also say that they have the desire to explore and experience new cultures and spheres, which helps starseeds to then provide new insights into existence. And they're more likely to engage in conspiracy theories, holistic health, and are interested in things like aliens and ancient civilizations. And so you can hear in that this person's about to start telling you what a crazy, stupid nutcase you are, and you should just go to your doctor and get believe everything everybody tells you and stop fantasizing. So let's see, how do we get onto that? Modern Origins of Starseed Beliefs. So I'm not a Starseed expert. In terms of the basic knowledge of it, I'm completely on board. In terms of the specifics, it looks to me like there's no real consensus on, a lot of things. The only reason that I know, well, I'll get into why I know I'm a Starseed a little bit later. Oh, in fact, right now, how I discovered I was an Andromedan Starseed. So, again, understand I didn't buy into the whole idea of Starseeds. Again, here's the thing about Starseeds that I didn't buy into. The thing I didn't buy into about Starseeds is that Starseeds are different from humans and that they aren't like humans. They're not as dense. Humans are more corrupt, they're more evil, they're more lower density. And these, if you're a Starseed, you're a higher density person and you're not like them. And so that really turned me off. I don't like anything that's sexist, racist, exclusionist, any kind of bigotry, especially spiritual bigotry, because I came out of born again Christianity, and so I have a real hard time with anything that sounds the slightest bit like bigotry. So I wasn't interested in that idea. There's a few other ideas that people have been talking about, which I won't get into, that I wasn't interested in, even though I was having daily communications with higher dimensional beings, with extraterrestrials. There was still a lot of things that I now believe that I didn't believe because I had an emotional bias against it. And I had an emotional bias against the idea of starseeds, and that was what did it. Because when I hear people talking about starseeds, I hear the condescension, I hear the superiority, the bigotry, we're not like, it's the same thing. It's whether it's, super empaths say the same thing. We're not like normal people. I have more empathy than the rest of you, and right there they show a lack of empathy by judging you. A lot of things. So starseeds, light workers sometimes, not always. Now the new one is chosen ones, which, by the way, you are a chosen one. If you want to believe you're a chosen one, it's because you are. But the idea that you're a chosen one and other people aren't chosen, I don't like that. It goes against, just my morality, but it goes against a true starseed would never think like that. So if you're thinking like that, that's your human brain. That's not your starseed brain talking. So the way I discovered it is that as I'm talking with these higher dimensional beings, and by the way, I was not only talking to extraterrestrial beings, I was also being visited by higher dimensional non-physical beings. I was being visited by human souls that I knew in life that had passed. And one of them was, I had a fiance that passed away about 7 years ago, and of course it devastated me. But she came back after this mantis being, did his Shaktipat on me, and they did a bunch of stuff to me. Energetically, they'd come at night, they'd come in the afternoon, and they'd work on me. They were constantly putting energy into me. It was a really crazy period, but I'm really glad now because I can tap into that realm instantly, and I couldn't do that before. I'd have to work really hard to be able to put myself into a trance state and go to other dimensions. Now I can just do it at will. And so I'm really appreciative of that. But she came to me, my fiance came to me, and she told me that she and I were from the Andromeda galaxy. And then she told me all the kinds of things that we do there, which I won't get into. You'll have to find out your own purpose of who you are, what you were before you got here, and why you're here. But that was the first wow from the and it sounded so cheesy because Andromeda, sounded like a science fiction movie. And this is the thing. And when you do this interdimensional meditation that I take you through on these live guided interdimensional meditations, when you do them and you interact with these beings, it's very likely that you're going to want to talk yourself out of it. And I wanted to talk myself out of it. But it was repeated to me numerous times by different light beings that I was shown a bunch of other places I've been, so I'm not just an Andromedan, but I definitely am an Andromedan, and there's a strong attachment and identity, and I have, there's a bunch of stuff that I apparently am doing there, and my higher self is still there doing all kinds of, crazy stuff. So that's how I found out, and that's since then, that was a couple of years ago. Since then, I've had to go, you know what? I think these Starseed people have something. There's some truth to it. So that's how I found out I'm an Andromedan. I'm an Andromedan Starseed. Let's see, where am I? So what New Agers get right about Starseeds? Let's talk about that. Well, the basic stuff. Again, I'm not saying they're right because I've read the books and I've watched the YouTube videos, and because I now have studied all the things that people have said, or that it's just a feeling I have, and because it makes me good to think about it, I've decided that's true about me. No, as you know, that wasn't. The whole idea was not something I was even remotely interested in accepting, but it's because I've had enough personal experiences in my astral body, in higher dimensions, and in direct communication with very powerful beings who have said, unequivocally, you are an Andromedan, and you came here to do, if you want to know what they told me I came here to do, are you ready? Drum roll. They told me that I am here to guide people to these interdimensional meditations and to create the solar flash ascension event. So one of the things I want all of you Starseeds to know is that that's why you're here. You are here. If you want to know why you've come here, it's not just that you've came here to guide human beings, not just that you've come here to spread goodness and to educate and to heal. You've come here for a very real practical purpose, which is to bring the higher dimensional energy, which will bring the solar flash ascension event, and it is coming soon. That is the feeling that I'm getting, and the fact that I've mobilized this, and I've been told without, and I've been struggling with what do I do with this knowledge. I've been sitting with this knowledge for a couple of years, and it was brought to my attention that my job, specifically among a bunch of other things, is to get as many people to do these interdimensional meditations and to guide large groups of people to, when we're in our astral bodies, we go out into space, and in our astral bodies we surround Earth and we send higher dimensional energy. Because you're a starseed, you can tap into and channel this energy. So your job, if you want to know, I'm a starseed, what am I supposed to do here? I can tell you very specifically what it is. It's to channel higher dimensional energy to Earth so that Earth can shift up. You want to know how to do that? Go and show up to these live guided interdimensional meditations and just let me guide you. Just sit back, put on your headphones and relax and just come with me. I need you here. I need all of the starseeds I can get my hands on to come and do this. So I encourage you to please do it, because if we don't do it, it's not going to get done. That's the other thing that they told me. If you starseeds don't do this, it won't happen. So I want this to happen. So please do me a favor. Come and do these free guided interdimensional meditations and let us shift Earth up. And the more people do it, the faster it's going to come. All right, what else? So what New Agers get right about Starseeds is the basic stuff. We've already talked about that. So what do New Agers get wrong? You know what? I've already talked about that. And that is the idea that Starseeds are superior and that human beings are these lower things that we look down on. In fact, I'm going to give you a secret about, who people really are, anybody who comes here. Anybody who incarnates as a human being, I've got a secret to tell you about that, and it has everything to do with starseeds. But what they get wrong is that. That's the thing. Again, somebody calls himself a chosen one, meaning that God has chosen them, that they're special. absolutely 100% true. The idea that you're superior to other people and that there's so-called people who aren't chosen, that's inaccurate. That's coming from your pain. So we go back to what this article says, which is, it turns out that the majority of these people who think that they're starseeds, it turns out they have greater emotional and mental problems, and they're more likely to be depressed, they're more likely to want to escape, and they're more likely to want to fantasize and have magical thinking, and it's because they want to escape their feelings. And yeah, so what? That makes sense. These are people that are used to being in higher dimensional planes of existence surrounded by love. And they're living in a place where there's not a whole lot of that, not a whole lot of love here. You don't know what anybody's thinking. You can't trust people. People hurt you. They betray you. They harm you. They physically harm you, psychologically harm you. You have to do things like do jobs you can't stand because if you don't have money, you're homeless. I mean, it's a very cruel, harsh place to live. So what is so hard about understanding that, people who experience that are going to be emotionally, psychologically damaged, and that they're going to want to think about being in a place filled with love? There's nothing wrong with that. That's sanity. However, it is true that if you've been traumatized, if you've grown up and you have been hurt, you have been traumatized. I mean, I was very traumatized as a kid, and I spent 40 years in therapy and meditation, 12-step groups, just to be able to function and be comfortable. And I'm in a lot more comfortable place than I've ever been in my life. But just because that happened doesn't mean I'm not a starseed. And it doesn't mean that being a starseed isn't a real thing. Because the more sensitive you are, the more traumatizing life is. And if you're a starseed, you're going to be sensitive. If you're a chosen one, you're going to be sensitive. If you're going to be an empath, you're going to be sensitive. But the defense mechanism of the traumatized person is they project onto others the feeling that they got, which is that they're unloved, they're unworthy, they're less than, they're, all of the negative things. And part of it is feeling, needing to feel superior. Well, that's what people did to you. They said, I'm better than you, you're less than me. And so what happens is we internalize that and we project it. So I know when somebody says, I'm a chosen one and, other people aren't, or I'm a starseed and, these are lower, denser humans. I know that they're in pain, and I know that they're projecting and transferring, and that's not their starseed essence that's talking, because the starseed essence says, I'm connected to everything and everyone, and you and we are the same. And I have compassion and love, and I'm not threatened by you, and I don't need to be better than you. I don't need to be worse than you. So needing to be better than somebody means that you've been traumatized, and of course you have. You're a starseed. But it's time to drop that. So that's what the New Age gets wrong. There's some other things that the New Age gets wrong, which is when they talk about the different kinds of starseeds and the different places that they've come from. I'm not going to get into specifics because I don't need for you to change all of your beliefs, and I don't need you to be 100% correct about everything, and I don't need to be 100% correct about everything. So I won't get into the specifics, but any belief that tells you that once you're outside of the third dimension that you have to be afraid. Any belief that tells you that you are vulnerable to being hurt, damaged, abused, lied to, manipulated to by higher dimensional beings is incorrect. And I'm saying that because I know from personal experience. Once you get beyond the third dimension, there is no evil. There is no corruption. There are no lies, because it's impossible. It's scientifically impossible at the vibration of higher dimensions to lie, because you're already, what everybody's thinking and feeling. It's impossible to be at that higher vibration and not be completely filled with love, because love is a higher vibration. Anger, hate, fear, manipulation, predatory instincts, those are lower vibration. So if you want to believe in certain groups or certain beings, if you want to believe in, say, reptilians, if you want to believe in false beings of light, if you want to believe in evil archons, if you want to believe in aliens that abduct, by the way, abduction is a real thing, but it's not done by higher dimensional extraterrestrials. I talk about that. If you want to believe in that, if it's important for you to believe that, because your experience tells you that there are beings out there, maybe you've encountered negative spirits. I used to be an exorcist, so I know for a fact that demons exist. But demons are not higher dimensional beings. They're lower dimensional beings. They're second dimensional beings, and they make their way up into the third dimension. Ghosts are the same thing. So if you need to believe in extraterrestrial beings that are harmful and abusive, I'm going to let you have it, but I'm going to tell you that they are, if they exist, and assuming that you're right about what they are, which I'm going to say that give yourself the right to be wrong about it. There might be something other than what you think. But it is true. There's evil forces on this planet that have major, hardcore, evil black magic that they're using on humans all day, every day. There are beings that seem to be more powerful than us, that seem to be able to do things that can only happen, with beings from higher dimensions. But that is part of their magic. But they're not. They're third dimensional beings. And if you are a starseed and you operate from your starseed identity, nothing can touch you. No being in the universe can harm you if you are focused on your higher dimensional mind. So, one of the things I do on my channel is I help people get over their fear. I help people shift to a place where they can be confident and they don't have to be afraid of anything. And, I say this to my clients. I say, if you're ever afraid, if you're ever in pain, think of me, and my energy will be there. And if I'm there with you, nothing can touch you. Because if you're there with me and my energy, you're going to be in that frequency that I'm at. So I encourage you to learn to let go and heal from all of that. Having a superior attitude that, that I'm a starseed and you're not, I'm a chosen one and you're not, that is a lower vibrational state, and that opens you up to being harmed and abused and hurt. But if you come from a place of love and you come from a place of looking to have compassion, looking to see yourself in everything and everybody, nobody can harm you. Nobody can touch you when you're in that place. So that is what New Agers get wrong about starseeds. All right, so common starseed attributes, we've already talked about that. Starseed is somebody who thinks about spiritual concepts, who thinks about the perfect society. You're the kind of person, you're like, I don't understand why we have to do this money thing. Why do I have to go and work a job and get this, what is this paper? Now it's not, I have to go get these little numbers on a bank account, and if I don't have that, I'm not good enough to eat or own a home. Why do I have to go and create toxic things and sell stupid stuff? Why can't I live and be supported because I'm doing something that is giving love to the world and making me happy? Why isn't the fact that I exist and I'm living in a state of love, why isn't that enough? That's a question that a starseed asks. And so that's a common attribute. If, again, you're sensitive, if you've had experiences, if you've had spiritual experiences that you can't explain, if you've had intuition since you were a little kid, if you have been visited, if you've had dreams, but if you're really interested in learning spiritual concepts, wanting to learn, you can't get enough of learning about spirituality and, doing spiritual things, doing spiritual practices like yoga and meditation and qigong and tai chi and all of that, if that's who you are, it's guaranteed you're a starseed. Crazy secret about starseeds on Earth. So maybe you're starting to pick up on where I'm going to go with this. So I'm going to tell you an extremely, extremely important truth. And I encourage you to accept it. And if you have a different belief about this, I invite you to really think about it and be willing to be wrong. It's okay. And you can always come back and change your mind. That's the great thing about opinions. You can always interchange them whenever you want. So just because you've gotten rid of an opinion and adopted a new one doesn't mean you can't go back to the old one. I've done that a few times. So don't be afraid of letting go of your opinions. Don't be afraid of learning new things and coming to new awarenesses. Here's the secret. We live in a holographic universe, which means that multiple things can be true at the same time. So right off the bat, I'm going to say that what I just said about, where the New Agers get it wrong, you can be right. There's a way that is accurate, which is to say that starseeds are operating at a higher dimensional state than non-starseeds. And that there are humans walking around who are definitely activated, awakened starseeds or in the process of awakening. And there are humans who are not starseeds, who are not activated and not awakened. That is a truth. That is a truth. This next truth, which is the crazy secret, is true while at the same time what I just said is also true. And the crazy secret is that and again, I know this from personal experience. It's not an idea I have. I didn't read it somewhere. It's not a thought that I like. I know this from all of my daily travels, communications, and interactions with higher dimensional beings, is that every single soul that incarnates on Earth is a starseed. The question is whether or not they have awakened to that fact. And it is true that you are what you vibrate. So somebody could have come here. They all do. A starseed is born incarnated. But if they become completely enmeshed in the third dimensional lower vibrational frequency, and they become attached to that and they don't want to wake up, then they're not a starseed. Not because they don't have the potential to activate their inner starseed essence, but this is just a fact about reality. The first major lesson I learned from, I believe it was my mantis being friend. The first thing that this being said to me was, "You are a probability." And I said, "Yes, I know. Anything is possible." And he said, "You are a probability." And I would respond, and he just kept repeating himself. He was very insistent. And it was clear he was trying to get into my brain that the word probability was important. So after, 5 minutes of me saying, yeah, I know, and him saying, "You are a probability," I said, okay, I'm going to go think about that. I'm going to go research that. And what it means is that in any given moment, you are what you choose to believe you are. And that comes down to everything. I mean, what this being was saying is if you really chose to believe that you were 100 feet tall, you'd become 100 feet tall. So even though somebody is born as a starseed, if they choose to be a lower vibrational, frightened, angry, manipulative, destructive, evil person, that probability then becomes their complete reality. And so that's why you're right if you say, I'm a starseed and this is just a lower density human and we're different. That's how it's true. But what I've seen is that anybody, no matter where they are, if they're willing to change what they choose to believe about themselves, they will shift. They will change. And I've been working with people, I've been working with clients and students who have been doing these interdimensional meditations, and they've created relationships with higher dimensional beings, and those beings have shifted them. And these people are no longer the same. These people have gone through, and I've been teaching and coaching, my entire adult life. And so you kind of get an idea of how far somebody can go in one lifetime. And I've seen people, myself included, achieve growth that couldn't possibly have happened within one lifetime, let alone 3 or 4 lifetimes. They have shifted into a completely different being. And it's simply for this reason. Because they chose to connect with higher dimensional beings, and because when those beings told them, you are fill in the blank. You are beautiful, you are healthy, you are happy, you are a god in another dimension, you are the most beautiful person, you are so kind and sweet, you are intelligent, you are powerful, you're a lightning god, you're whatever it is. Some of it is like that crazy. The people who choose to listen, that truth, it's like a magic spell, because if you're familiar with something called Vak Siddhi, which means the power of speech, and it's a Vedic yogic term which means somebody has the power to speak the truth. If you say it's raining, all of a sudden it'll start raining. They have so much power that they can speak reality into existence. These beings have this power. So those of you who are doing these meditations, if a being says to you, you are, and it seems too good to be true, all you have to do is just choose to accept that possibility. You don't have to believe it, because sometimes it'll be so grandiose you won't be able to believe it in the moment. But if you don't say, no, that's not true, I refuse to hear that, you have the power to refuse to hear it. And if you do that, then it'll bounce off of you. Unless you're in, higher dimensional, really powerful beings, you don't have the power. I in fact, made myself physically, I gave myself a physical injury because a very higher dimensional being came to me and said, you are, and gave me this crazy compliment. It was actually a really lofty spiritual title. And I resisted it. And it caused me physical damage. I was physically in pain, I couldn't lift my arm for, a couple of weeks. I've since learned to accept it, because beings like that, they can tell you that, and you will become that whether you like it or not. So, but my experience with most of these beings is that when they say you are, you're this, you're that, and it's always something wonderful. If you get a negative message, it's not coming from a higher dimensional being. It's very likely coming from your own unconscious negative self-talk. But when these beings talk to you, they always give you compliments, and they always tell you something about yourself that is far greater than you think about yourself. And if you just allow yourself to accept it, even if you don't believe it, just go, yes, I am, and repeat back to them, you'll change. And you'll never be the same again. You'll be healthier, you'll be happier, you'll be more prosperous, you'll be smarter, your body will change, everything will change. So this is one of the things you can only find this out if you do practices. And again, you show up for one of these meditations, I guarantee you, if you have an open mind and you have the slightest bit of honest desire, you're going to have an experience if you keep it up. All right, so the fastest way to activate your Starseed identity, I just explained it. The fastest way to do that is to communicate directly with these higher dimensional beings. And what I suggest all of my viewers do is that you ask them to tell you who you are. Who am I? Now, I don't know what they'll say, but they might tell you a past life that you've had. They might tell you something that has nothing to do with physical incarnation at all. Things like this have been said to me. You're a lightning god. That was somebody else was told that specific phrase, and that has nothing to do. You're like, well, I'm just a human. What do you mean I'm a lightning god? What do you mean I'm the ruler of a galaxy on the other side of the universe? What do you mean? What is that? What are you talking about? I'm just a human walking around. So they may tell you something that has something to do with who you are in the higher dimensional realms, or in another universe, or in another dimension, another version of yourself. That's happened. I've communicated with higher dimensional versions of me. If you think that's, if you ever seen Being John Malkovich, it's like that kind of crazy. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting experience. So I know, not because I read it somewhere, I know for a fact that there are higher dimensional versions of me. I know that if there are other universes, there's versions of me there, so I know this for a fact because I've seen it and experienced it. So they may tell you about who you are on these other levels, on these other planes. But if you listen to it and accept it, it'll start to get in and change you in ways you can't even begin to imagine. So imagine we live in the fifth dimensional Earth, where people can be humans and then shift and become lightning gods, and shift and become, powerful earth spirits, or shift and become a giant that walks through walls, and shift and become, a star in the sky, and you can be going back and forth. It sounds like a really almost kind of schizophrenic way of living, but imagine being able to be that and have it be fun and comfortable and beautiful. This is the kind of world we're heading for. And this is where these beings live, which is why it's so easy for them to tell you who you truly are. The other thing to remember is that this third dimensional reality isn't real. This is a backwards, upside down, bizarro world. And everything that you experience is actually a fictional script. You think your name is Bob Smith and you grew up in Milwaukee and you were born in 1993, and these are the things that you think are true about you. You went to school, you did this, you're good at this, you're bad at that, you're afraid of this, you have this problem you need to get over. Those are all fictional characters that you wrote. You literally wrote a script. And you said, I'm going to play this character. So when these higher dimensional beings look at you, they don't see your character. They can see it, but they know what it is. That it's just a costume you're wearing. And so they're going to say, underneath that costume, here's who you are. Also remember that these beings have known you. You have incarnated with them. You have been. If you're a starseed, it is virtually guaranteed that you have been a higher dimensional extraterrestrial who's been watching over Earth. You've been an angel. You've been a guide. You've been somebody's higher self. You've done what they're doing, and you did it with them, and they remember you. You don't remember them because you're playing out your script, and in order to play out your character, you have to forget who you were. So these beings are showing up. You don't know what the hell's going on. Like, this mantis being showed up, and one of the first things he said was, I'm your brother. What? So he remembers when he and I were brothers. Very likely I've been a mantis being. For all I know, I might still be a mantis being. But that's the mindset of these beings. They have a history with you that you don't remember. So they're not just making guesses. They remember when you were flying through the universe as a lightning god with them, and you were going to other planets doing things, and driving out negativity and empowering whole star systems. They remember all that like it was yesterday. So they'll come and tell you, yeah. Just like if you go see let's say you have a family member who gets into an accident and goes into a coma. And if they wake up and they don't remember, and they say, I don't remember, you say, yeah, no, I'm your brother. You are? Yeah. And we did this together and we did that together. We did? Yeah. I don't remember that. That's okay. I do remember it. And, I hope you can remember it. And that's what they're doing. They're like, I hope you can remember who you truly are. And this is so important because if we're going to make this shift, if we're going to heal and shift this planet to a higher dimension, we have to at least be open to remembering who we were. And the more that you can allow yourself to remember who you were, the more power you're going to be able to tap into. Not only are you going to be happier, yeah, you might feel a little crazy. That's part of it. You might think that you might be losing your mind, but that's one of the reasons why we have this live Zoom class and discussion group, so that you can come and talk to people and say, I had this happen, and do you guys tell me, am I crazy? Here's what I think this being said, but I don't know if I'm making it up. And you'll hear other people talk from their experience, and you'll be able to know just by listening to somebody else, okay, I'm not alone. One of the things that I've learned from this is why I don't take anything that's written down or anything anybody says, why I am outspoken when I will say if there's specific people who are teaching certain things, I will have no problem saying that is completely false and it's not an attack on them. I can tell by listening if somebody's actually been to a higher dimension, or if somebody's actually communicated directly and had a physical experience with a higher dimensional being. I can tell within the first couple of words, and so will you. The moment that you do it, you'll be able to, as soon as somebody starts going, I think I'm crazy, but this happened, you're going to be like, yep, that's what happened with me. And if it's not, you'll know somebody's lost in their delusion, or they're making it up, or they're parroting what somebody told them. So anyway, I forgot where I was going with all that. So the fastest way to activate your Starseed identity is by talking directly to a higher dimensional being and asking them. How to achieve the 5D ascension shift. I've already talked about that. Real simple. It's the simplest thing there is. And that is coming on to these live guided interdimensional meditations as often as you can. If you're able to come on while I'm live streaming it, great. If not, no problem. Come on when you can. You come home from work or whatever it is. If we're in a different time zone on the other side of the earth, when you wake up in the morning, or whenever, come on and do it. And it's not just that you do it once and then do it by yourself. The idea is that we're doing this together. And as I've said in some of the other videos and some of the shorts that I've been putting up, here's why this is so important that we do it together. That when I'm communicating with my light being friends, and every time I go out, I ask all of them to come and help. And that includes physical, higher dimensional extraterrestrial beings who are physical beings, but they're in the fifth or the sixth dimension, so we can't see them, but they're there. And also deities. One of the things that this experience has given me, this mantis being, when he gave me this Shakti pod and opened me up, one of the things that I can do now, which I don't know if I was able to do before, but I can go and talk to deities. I can go and track them down and say, I want to talk to you, and talk to them like I'm talking to you. And they'll reach out to me and talk to me, and I'll be in meditation and some deity will show up. Well, I am asking all of the deities, come and help us. So when we're lining Earth with our astral bodies, and even if, let's say, there's 20 or 30 people on the live stream, well, guess what? There's an infinite number of higher dimensional extraterrestrials that are already parked outside of Earth. There are higher dimensional beings that aren't physical. They're in the 9th or the 10th dimension. They're showing up. There are deities, Shiva, Kali, Odin, Thor, all of them are showing up, as well as all of the stars, as well as the black hole centers of the galaxies, and beings that I mean, there are beings that exist that go beyond anything you can even imagine. All of these beings are showing up, and here's what they're doing. They are using and using sounds bad, but I don't mean it in a negative way, because we end up gaining energy from it. They are sending their higher dimensional energy into our astral bodies. When we're focused on Earth and we're doing the chant that I teach you, if you've been there, you know what that chant is. It's the chant for the 5D shift. When we're chanting that, they are also chanting it, and they're sending energy through our astral bodies, and it is getting sent to Earth. And Earth is shifting, and everything on Earth is shifting. So it's great. If you want to do it by yourself, I do meditations by myself all the time. But in terms of, what's really going to, this is what they've told me, what's really going to do it is if we get together and we do this together. And this is the great thing about the technology of the internet. It doesn't matter where we are, we can do it. And again, it doesn't matter if you're, a few hours late or a day or two late, showing up and doing the different meditations as I put them out. And again, the more people that do it, the faster we'll shift up. And this is the reason I'm here. So you know that if you show up to my meditations, you are helping me fulfill the reason I came to this planet. And I hope to help you find your reason, whatever that is. And also, as I said, share this, get as many people doing this as possible. It doesn't cost anything. Yeah, if you want to support the channel, you can go and subscribe, all different subscription levels. If you want to support the channel and be able to talk to people about what's happening and learn and be part of a community, you can subscribe to the live Zoom class and discussion group, and that will help support me and allow me to do this and not have to go get a job as an old man greeter at Walmart. And if you go onto the channel, there's the shop here. If you click on thunderwizard.com and you'll see the shop menu. You click on that and there's a bunch of video courses and exercises starting from $10 all the way up to hundreds of dollars. And anything you've been wanting to learn on all kinds of levels, like this wood element, this Maoshan wood element practice, incredibly powerful. Yeah, you can support the channel that way. And that will allow me to live and eat and all that. And I appreciate that and I encourage that. I would love that. But the most important thing is that you show up to these free meditations and your friends. You don't have to say, no, what do I have to do? Do I have to sign up? Do I have to get on an emailing list? No, I'm too lazy to bombard you with emails. All you have to do is just show up and let me guide you into this meditation and do whatever the heck you want to do. Be a part of it, fall asleep, I don't care. The more people that we get on here, the better. And my goal, my dream, and I want you to help me with this, is to get my channel to go viral. Because if we get hundreds or thousands, or even, dare I say, millions of people doing these meditations together, I mean, this world can't stay the same. It would be impossible to have millions of people in the same moment sending higher dimensional energy to Earth, in our astral bodies. It would be impossible for us not to shift up. It would be impossible. So this is what I'm here to do, and I want you to do it with me. Please help me out. And again, any support you can give to the channel before, if this channel goes viral, forget it. I'll have more money than I need to worry about just from the YouTube, ads alone. But that's not the case at the moment. I need to be able to eat, and I want to make this my full-time job, as it has been for the past, 10 or 15 years. I want that to continue. So please support the channel and learn. Go and find whatever practice you want to try out and learn. With that, my friends, I want to thank you so much for showing up. And I want to thank you for taking the time to listen. And if you're a newly awakened Starseed, welcome to the family. Now you're looking in the eyes of an Andromedan, and I'm sure I've lived on other planets as well, as so have you. And you're home. You're home. We are your family, and we love you, and we see you for who you are, and we accept you exactly who you are, where you are, and we're here to help you grow and heal. That's what this channel is all about, and what I've been doing on this channel for as long as I've been here. So I want to thank you so much for showing up. Please remember that you are the most important being that has ever existed, that the entire universe was created solely for your pleasure, and that you are the most beautiful, the most powerful, the most amazing being that has ever existed. And that I am alive because you exist. And the only thing that you are required to do is just simply exist. And your existence is absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. In fact, I bow before you because you are God. If you're listening to me, you are God. And I bow before your righteous, powerful, beautiful soul. That's it, my friends, for now. And if you don't shift up to the fifth dimension, or if you don't get beamed up to the Starship Enterprise, or if the solar flash doesn't come and take you to a higher dimension, and if that doesn't happen to me, then I will see you all very soon. Please take extremely good care of yourselves. Thank you so much. I love you and I appreciate you, and I look forward to interacting with you either in this reality or the next.